Hey everyone, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to evercrisis. We're going to be talking about Kujarov's new banner that just came out. Pros, cons, why you should probably get a copy, not get a copy, depending on your account. Also, I finally made a decision on where I spent my blue crystals. In the end, it's up to you guys where you guys pull. Have fun with the game. The game is only here until they decide to shut down the server, and no matter how much time you spent playing, money you spent, in the end, if the game does shut down or you get bored, it's all gone. So have fun while the game is here and while you enjoy it. For now, let's go talk about Kujarov's banner and what I did with 70,000 blue crystals. Is Kujarov worth it? There is pros and there is cons to this weapon. And the costume pretty solid. So let's start off with the costume, because a lot of people seem to be disappointed he's not in Kujarov's full thong. I think that's what they said in chat. For everything else, it's another one of his costumes. I still think his Halloween costume was one of his best ones. But this has got boost HP for 10 points, which if you notice and you built your Sephiroth, if you try to build him pure damage, this man has no HP. So does other characters, they have no HP if you build pure damage. But he's sitting at like 3,900 for me. So if a costume can take care of the HP, I really like that. And you can see more and more of these fights that come out. You need about 6,000 to 7,000 HP to survive hits, even if you debuff the enemy. So having plus 10 HP is really nice. And then the boost magic ability here at 10 points guarantees you that you'll always be at 30% damage as long as you put one weapon on your subs or your main, like Air Sun Umbrella. You'll always have 30% or more. And that 10 points will always push you to the next edge of like, okay, I'm at 35, I need 10 more points. Boom, costume, you're at 70%, right? Depending on how much overboosting you got the other weapons. I think this costume is great. It's an overall costume, meaning that just like the other ones, if you don't have the element weakness and you're facing an enemy that's either that or resistance to the element, Sephiroth will always do good damage. Not amazing, not fantastic, because elemental damage in this game is still king, and I'm going to show you why. But this gives you any element you face of like weakness or they're resistant or not, this will give you damage. So it's nice to have in the back pocket, especially when it comes to characters or enemies like the Waltz. So costume wise, you can't go wrong. Same thing with Aerith, has a good healing setup, and then especially Cloud and Tifa, they have the same kind of costume but for physical. They are going to be a blanket for anything, which makes them like a, well, it doesn't matter what I'm facing. So costumes are cool. Animation of this attack is so cool. So freaking amazing. I've seen it and I love it. The fact that he goes in the air, pulls out all the orbs just like Kuja, and then just poof, it looks so freaking good, right? Now, besides the animation, Kuja's Spirit Blade. At base value, because it is limited, a lot of these weapons are not as good if you're not going to go deep into the banner. When it comes to Kuja's Spirit Blade, I think it's the complete opposite. I think if you get one copy, you have that niche weapon and character now that can go into battles and make things easier for you. Is it necessary? No. Will they force it to be necessary since it's limited and it disappears on December, beginning of December? The fact that if they don't release another weapon with the same effect on it where it lowers AoE attack or AoE magic attack, right? Some way to deal with this does, and they release content that goes like, well, if you missed the event and you didn't get Kuja's Spirit Blade, you're screwed. I think that's going to be really bad for the game, right? It's a limited weapon. It's not going to be here. It's not going to be in the wish list. So its ability shouldn't define the rest of the game, but it will make it easier. So what does it do? It deals 340%, so it has some damage in it, while applying some debuffs. It hits all enemies, it's got a chance to crit, it lowers magic attack and physical attack if you're above 50 HP, only for the physical attack that requirement's needed. But magic attack is always applied mid, so 2 tiers. The max we can lower magic and physical attack right now is 3 tiers. So this is 1 tier away from being max attack down on all enemies you face. And then if you again, if you're at HP, if your HP is above 50%, physical attack is decreased as well, mid potency. Doesn't matter if you double cast it, triple cast it, you'll only ever do 2 tiers unless you overboost 6 it. Overboost 6 will go from mid on the first cast, 4 ATB, and then if you spend another 4 ATB, it'll go to high. And this buff or debuff will last for 26 seconds. So it's really good. It's really good at what it does. And it also, if you don't go deep on this banner, and I mean to get an overboost 6 weapon, you've got to go pretty deep into a banner. The banner itself is a single weapon banner, so you actually have a better chance at getting multiple copies on this or multiple copies of your wish list, because you're not fighting with another off-banner weapon. And I do like these banners if you're specifically going for that weapon. But you are still going to spend a lot to overboost 6 this, so the average player is going to see this mid-tier with a little bit more damage. With that being said, I think that this is a niche weapon. Just like every other weapon in the game, it has a quest that's going to be, whoa, this is amazing, it made everything easy. And it's going to have quests where, oh, I can't use it because I can't lower the enemy's attack or magic attack, right? No matter what, it's going to make the game easier to be able to go for ATB, ICAST, and everything's weak. I don't have to give my other characters D-Faith, D-Braves. I don't have to give anyone Tiger Fangs like Tifa, Bazooka on Barret, anyone that lowers it. Kuja, Spirit Blade by itself, and just Sephiroth being a sub DPS is going to be able to just take care of all that issues. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to switch through enemies, making the game a little bit easier. So I think if you are going to do something on this banner and you don't really care about the costume, get 1 copy and dip. Even if it's a 3-star or a 4-star, you can use weapon parts later on, 200 Sephiroth weapon parts, to get this into a 5-star. So you don't even have to get the 5-star version right now. Just grab a 3-star or 4-star, and if you really need to later on, use those weapon parts. So overall, again, it looks great. It's going to help with all those quests. It's going to save up your other DPS from wasting ATB gauges. They could now just attack. Healer can heal. Do other debuffs or buffs while he took care of the issue of the enemies hitting you too hard in the face. Now let's talk about the rest of the build and why this isn't one of those banners you want to go in for multiple copies and multiple summons, and it's better spent saving or pulling on the other banners, because the rest of his, they screwed up here. Well, obviously they didn't screw up. They could do whatever they want. But if this was a boost magic attack and boost magic ability potency, this would have been an easy. It's an AoE. It doesn't do great damage unless you overboost it a lot, but it has a damage with debuff and great R abilities. This makes it average R abilities. The boost magic attack is really fantastic, but the fact that this is only 6 points at level 90 after you use mithril ore. So your limited mithril ore, which is really hard to come by, you have to spend 30 of them just to get this to +6. An overboost, it's 16, and then it goes to 24, where every other weapon in the game gives you 36 to 48 R abilities on this attack stance. Boost magic attack, I figured if they were going to lower this one, this should have been higher, but they didn't hire that one either. So for R abilities, they're pretty much good, but not amazing. When it comes to his back abilities, he has Triangle Breaker, which is really nice. When you pair that up with that Cloud Murasami, you have 2 Triangle Breakers, so you'll be doing 5 per cast. Really nice. And he has got 2 magic slots. But let's talk about the R abilities, because what's going to happen to this weapon is that 480% AoE is really good when you're facing a group of enemies. But again, realistically, unless you're going really deep into this banner, 340 AoE is not a good weapon for damage. It will be if there's multiple enemies because it applies a debuff and it does all that at once. But when you're just facing like one enemy, or you kill the side ads and now you're just dealing with the boss in the middle, you're not going to cast this ability over and over and over again, and that's not really what it's meant for. It's nice that it does damage while it debuffs, but it's going to take 1-up Sephiroth slots, which means his other weapon has to be a damage weapon, and that's kind of obvious with any debuffing weapon, right? Hard edge on Cloud, you have to have a better weapon in front. But let's talk about the combinations of what Sephiroth builds when it comes to R abilities and having those debuffs or strong weapons. Alright, so here's my Sephiroth, and here's a build I usually use depending on what I'm facing. If I'm doing ice build, I'll put edge wings in the front and my mithril, or this one's called the Shinra Blade, on the sub weapon. This has boost ability potency of 24 points. At your regular level 90, it's got 9 points and 24 up here. When you fully max this out, 40 to 36, so you already see the difference. The only thing is this gives boost attack. If you're going into the point where you're overboost 16 or more every weapon eventually, Your edge wings or any weapon that is going to be your elemental or just damage dealer is going to be 40 points, and then one sub weapon with an extra 15 points, which, 30 divided by 2 is going to be 15 because you get only 50%. So 2 weapons on the entire build is going to give you that 55 boost magic. So the fact that your boost magic is going to be at 55 eventually off of 2 weapons, meaning that Shinra Blade here is one of the greatest weapons to use along with his build to get the max R abilities. So already he's got coverage of really 2 good slots. He's got these sub weapons on, no materia, no costume, sitting at 2,326 HP, just under 4,000. So where does that weapon sit when it comes to these builds? Sephiroth doesn't have a lot of magic attack. He only has one, which is Edge Wings. Everything else that does boost magic attack is not even worth it unless you're going for that lightning potency, then it can be. But you can see a level 90 CC alloy sword is only 16 points. If you put in the sub hand, it only increases by 8. Fully maxed out, 27 points. So you're not really relying on that one unless you're doing lightning damage, which can be useful because it gives 48 lightning. But overall, HP, physical, magic defense, boosted attack, which is both, and then edge wings. So you're going to be using edge wings, the Shinra Blade, you're not going to be using this, and this is where the issue kind of happens. Torn Wings will no longer be able to be used as a stat stick if you're going to use that defense down weapon. You have to rely on him having the other weapons because it doesn't do damage, right? And the AoE weapon, again, is very low potency unless you overboost it like crazy. So you're going to have to run a damage dealer. You can run the AoE fire, you can run the AoE lightning, right? Whatever you guys need to run, it works, but these are your 2 best options. And in my opinion, the Shinra Blade, is going to be the best option with it. Debuff, AoE, and then big single target heals while having great R abilities that work with it. Boost ability potency, it also boosts ability potency. So the combination of those 2 weapons, it'll work out. Edge wings as well. If you're using a build that's ice potency, you now get to have boost magic attack 24. And then another 24 divided by 2, 12. So you'll be at 36 boost magic if you use a new weapon together, which puts you at 30%. So it works when it comes to the R abilities, but the combination of these 2 work just as well. And you don't have to go out of your way to not get it limited. Meaning that if you don't get multiple copies, the more this upgrades from every wish list or whatever other weapon comes out, you're eventually going to max it out, even as a free-to-play. And you're going to get 40 and 36, while that weapon is going to always be at 24 and 6. So the issue is that it's limited, and it's not there to increase the overall damage of your setup. Which you're going to fall into the issue of a DPS race. Cool. You survived, you lower the enemy's attack, and now you have to get through the berserk phase because he starts one-shotting you at a certain point. You nerfed your Sephiroth, you made him weaker, and then the long run, even though you saved a bunch of ATB in the beginning, because the new Black Waltz, you have to survive the first 2 initial attacks, right? And you can do that without debuffing the enemy fully. But you have to survive those first 2 attacks, and then after that, it's a DPS race, right? It's a little bit of surviving and purely DPS. If you end up putting on a weapon that doesn't have great R abilities, you're not going to beat that DPS race, and now you're kind of screwed. So the fact that you'll always have a gold weapon on here, and those R builders will never contribute to everything, you really have to rely on your sub weapons. And unless you're wailing, that's not going to really help you, right? So this Sephiroth alone with this build, 23-26, this will only get stronger and stronger and stronger every time I pull, where the other one stops you. So does it work? Does it fit? Does it have its moments? Yes, yes, yes. I talked about the pros and how good it is, but then when you put it into action, once you survive, does it DPS enough? Will it slow down your Sephiroth? And the answer is yes. So it's almost better to just use a character that has like 2 attack down. To be examples that if you go to mine, and I'm going to show you guys my pulls later on and what I ended up doing, I ended up clearing, and I don't have Sephiroth's weapon, I ended up clearing everything. I beat the new EX2, which requires 210,000, and I didn't use AoE, physical, or magic attack down on this. I just used Tifa's Tiger Claws and 2 defafes, which was more than enough, and I had the DPS to go through with it. Again, it depends on your characters, your build and everything, but I didn't need to survive. I'm on floor 66. Before I even pulled on this event, I made floor 66. I beat all the way up to 65 without debuffing the enemies. And this is a free-to-play account. This is all free-to-play, no money spent. I'm at floor 65, and I haven't tried 66. I know I can beat it, right? So, everything that's difficult in this game, including the crisis dungeons, again, I didn't have to use a big AoE debuffing weapon. Everything is S-ranked. I'm going to do this later on, and I'm going to do this later on, but everything is S-ranked. So, the point I'm trying to emphasize here is that, yes, an AoE weapon of debuffing is going to make the game easier, but is it necessary? That's something you have to look at your account. How strong is it? Is it worth to spend the blue crystals there? What does it do to the R ability setup and setup overall? Because another thing besides the R abilities, your weapon is going to be low stats. Shimmer Blade, I have overboost 5 from just pulling naturally tickets, wish list. I've never put in the wish list. This is just luck. But magic attack 464. If I didn't have this luck, 221. Same thing with his new blade. I'm losing a huge amount of damage there because I have to just substitute it. So again, those DPS races are gonna hurt you if you don't have this thing overboosted, and since it's limited, you're not going to for a very long time if they bring it back or you get a bunch of weapon parts over the year. You're going to be stuck at 227 if you use Mithril ore on this, which you're probably not going to. It's going to be level 80, a little bit weaker, and that's not going to be +6. So you're only getting 24. So that's the issue with the weapon. There's pros, there's cons to every weapon in this game, and there's going to be moments where every weapon in the game looks absolutely amazing, and there's going to be so many case scenarios that I didn't even cover here that it's not going to help you and it's not going to be used. So you've got to ask yourself, what am I doing with this weapon and if it's going to benefit me or not. All right, so this is from my live stream last night. After I spent 70,000 blue crystals, I worked on my lightning cloud. And I worked on getting his new weapons, and there's going to be a poll video showing all that. But you can see, here's my lightning cloud with 3,133 physical attack, 5,600 HP, and level 6 lightning. So let's go in and see what I end up doing. So I'm facing the newest poison dragon, which he has no elemental weakness. So this is just neutral lightning damage, right? Because I have high potency for my costume, and I got level 6 lightning for my R abilities on Murasami and my sub weapons. This is what, with no debuff, a lightning setup will do to you in every situation. And then I'm going to compare it to what I ended up pulling. So 7,814 without the 50%, without putting defense down of lightning or just normal defense. Lightning down only works on lightning weakness enemies. But once you have all that clicking, you'll see. So after this attack, I'm going to wait till it's full. Now we get 50% boost. Lightning attack doing 9,895. And that varies. It goes from like 9,895 to 10,000 to a little bit low. Every attack will do a little bit more, a little bit less, because there's a range. Okay, so I'm not going to show you what I ended up pulling and how my pulls went, but I ended up pulling for Cloud's Zidane weapon and costume to complement my lightning build, and also have, in the chance that Cloud can't do damage because element, he has that option. So I wanted to work on my powerful Cloud because Ramu summon, which is lightning, works with all that. And this is why I say focus on a character and try to go really deep into their build and try to complement them. So Zidane's weapon will always complement all of Cloud's builds. Physical attack 3,074, 7,000 HP, and I have the second best physical attack stance on there. So let's compare the difference. So again, full ATB, 50% boost. This is the max damage. 9,961. That is a little bit better than my lightning potency build, but that's again all you're gonna do. But the benefit is that lightning setup will now go into doing more damage if the enemy's weak to lightning, but you can use your lightning setup for any enemy that doesn't resist lightning. And here's what happens if you bring a lighting setup, or anyone. The whole point I'm making is that you can use your elemental builds to just do neutral damage to enemies, right? As long as they don't resist it. If they don't resist Sephiroth Ice, so on, so on. So we're doing where we put 3 tiers down of defense, 3 tiers down of lightning. Cloud does 42,000. No matter what, working on your elemental builds on multiple characters and saving for those is gonna be better in many situations. Black Vault is catered towards the banner. It's supposed to make the banner look good, so they resisted all elements, but that won't be the case. Imagine if the game took away elemental damage. Materias of all elements, useless. Weapons of elements, useless. Arcanium costumes, useless. They would take away 80% of the game mechanics if they decided that they no longer want you to do elemental damage. They're going to be elemental. There are going to be elemental weaknesses. So this looks good because of the current event, and it will look good again when you're facing something like the Astral Iron Giant or any future boss. But again, it's for those niche moments that you need to. Besides that, your elemental builds are great. Use them, work on them. I decided to work on my Lightning Cloud. So the reason I want to showcase that in the end, the whole elemental build to the non-elemental build, is because I want you guys to know that you can skip this banner. Don't need to work on attack stance. Yes, you can combine them, make them work together, but most of the time you want to increase that potency as high as possible. The more potency you have, the more this build will do damage against enemies that don't have ice weakness, right? The higher you get this, the better. Up to 55 points is a good point. If you can get to 65 points, that's 100%. After that, it only gives you a 10% boost. But this is the only R ability in the game, elemental, that goes above 55. You have 65 points, 80 points, 100 points. The more ice you stack on a character, the more ice ability potency damage you're going to get, and it's going to be even more incredible when you hit that element. So, in the decision at the end, it's up to you guys. But if you were like me who had a ton saved up, I would focus on banners that just make your DPS stronger. So that's it. That's the full coverage of this event. You guys choose what you want to do in the end here. I chose mine. Let me know what you chose down in the comment section. So that's pretty much everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, the decision is yours in the end. Have fun, enjoy. I just want to give you guys all that information and kind of be like, here is why it's good, why it's bad. Depends on what you're trying to do. Is it really awesome? So a little bit of everything for you guys. So enjoy, have fun, poll. Let me know what you guys get, what you went for, or if you're completely skipping, that's also okay. Don't worry. For now, guys, thank you so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll smell you later.